Most people think resilience means never struggling, never breaking down, never feeling overwhelmed, and always staying strong. But psychology tells us something very different. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship. In fact, resilience is often built through the very experiences that challenge us the most, which means that you may be far stronger than you realize. Hello, and welcome to Built Through It Studio. My name is Morgan Lee Collins, and I'm a specialist wellness counselor in South Africa. On this channel, we explore the psychology of resilience, personal growth, and what it means to build a meaningful life, even through difficult experiences, which in South Africa we're constantly facing. One of the most common things I often hear people say is things along the lines of, I don't think I'm strong enough. I can't take this. I can't go on anymore. Nothing ever goes right for me. But when we look more closely at the lives of these people that say these things, we often discover something very different. Before we go further, I would like to invite you to just pause for a moment and think about something. Consider one of the most difficult experiences that you've faced in your life in the past. Perhaps a loss, a painful relationship, a period of uncertainty, illness, failure, or a time when life simply felt overwhelming. Now, consider this. You moved through that experience in some way. You adapted, you endured, you survived, you are still here. And that tells us something important about human resilience. For me, one of the most difficult experiences that I've ever experienced was navigating an emotionally abusive relationship. At the time, it was incredibly disorienting. I look back at that time and think, who was that person? It wasn't me. That's a totally different Morgan. But looking back, I feel stronger for the experience. It taught me some very important lessons in terms of boundaries, resilience, self-understanding, empathy. I am who I am because of those experiences. In psychology, resilience is generally understood as the ability to adapt to adversity, trauma, stress, or significant life challenges. Researchers like Ann Masten have described resilience as something quite remarkable, but also something quite surprisingly ordinary. Masten famously referred to resilience as ordinary magic. What she meant by this is that resilience is not a rare superpower that only a few people possess. Rather, it is a set of capacities that human beings develop through relationships, experiences, and coping strategies over time. You are not born with the capacity for resilience. It is something that is built into you as you navigate life. Similarly, researchers like Seligman, one of the founders of positive psychology, have shown that resilience is closely connected to how we interpret and respond to the events in our lives. In other words, resilience is not just about what happens to us. It's also about how we make sense of those experiences. I'm not trying to say that hardship is a positive thing or a good thing. What I am trying to say is that hardship in this life is inevitable. Everyone around you is suffering. Some people might be suffering differently than others, but we are all guaranteed to go through difficult times in this life. And that's a topic that I will be exploring in a future video. Look out for that. If hardship is inevitable, what is there for us to do? Well, we can build through it. One reason people underestimate their resilience is because strength rarely looks or feels heroic in the moment. When we're in the middle of a difficult experience, it often feels like confusion, exhaustion, grief, uncertainty, any number of emotions, not necessarily positive ones. Resilience does not always look like triumph. Sometimes it looks like simply getting through the day. Sometimes it looks like asking for help. Sometimes it looks like continuing to try, even when things feel really heavy. But these quiet acts of persistence are often exactly what resilience looks like in real life. Interestingly, research in psychology has also found that some people experience something called post-traumatic growth. This concept was explored by psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun. Post-traumatic growth refers to the positive psychological changes that can sometimes emerge after people struggle with major life challenges, including a deeper appreciation for life, stronger relationships, greater personal strength, new priorities or meaning. This does not mean that suffering is good or desirable, but it does mean that human beings often have a remarkable capacity to grow through adversity. So, if resilience is something that can develop over time, the question becomes, how do we strengthen it? Research suggests several key factors that help people to build resilience. The first is meaning making. Human beings cope better with hardship when we can find meaning in our experiences. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl wrote extensively about this idea in his work on meaning and survival. While in a World War II concentration camp, Frankl observed that people who were able to connect the suffering to a deeper sense of purpose were often better able to endure difficult circumstances. This doesn't mean that every painful experience has a clear purpose, but asking reflective questions like, what can I learn from this? Or how might this shape who I am becoming? Can sometimes help us to integrate difficult experiences into our life story. Another powerful predictor of resilience is connection. Research consistently shows that supportive relationships, whether they be with friends, family, partners, or mentors, help people to cope more effectively with stress and adversity. Resilient people are often able to adapt their thinking and behavior when circumstances change. Rather than rigidly insisting that life must unfold in a particular way as they expect, they learn to adjust, problem solve, and move forward even when their original plans fall apart. Psychological flexibility is a core idea in approaches such as acceptance and commitment therapy, and something we'll explore in more detail in a future video. Keep a lookout for that. Resilience is strengthened when we learn to treat ourselves with kindness during difficult moments. Many people believe resilience means being tough on themselves, but research suggests the opposite. Being able to acknowledge struggle without harsh self-criticism actually helps people to recover and adapt more effectively. So if you've ever thought, I'm not strong enough, I want to gently challenge that assumption. If you have faced difficulty, if you have experienced loss, if you have struggled and continued moving forward in whatever way, then resilience is already a part of your story. Strength is not always loud or dramatic. Often, it is quiet. It looks like perseverance. It looks like quiet growth. It looks like continuing to search for meaning even when life feels meaningless. And the fact that you are here watching this video, still learning, still reflecting, still trying, suggests that resilience may already be stronger in you than you realize. Before we wrap up, it's important to note that the information shared in this video is for educational and psychoeducational purposes only. It is not intended to replace psychological support or therapy. If you are going through something particularly difficult, speaking to a professional mental health practitioner can only be valuable. If you are in South Africa and are in need of some counseling support and you'd like to speak with me, you can find access and details to my website shared in the link below. If you found this video helpful, please consider sharing it with someone who might also benefit from this conversation. And if you're interested in learning more about the psychology of resilience, growth, and meaningful living, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, sometimes the strength we overlook in ourselves is the very thing that has carried us as far as we've gotten.